All right, it's that time of the week again, our favorite time for hashtag Rising Qs when we get to answer your questions. Saagar, what is up first?
Number one, can you quantify the military's budget related to our overall economy? Much talk about the military's effect on diplomacy. Little on diplomacy would shape our economy if we weren't constantly looking for boogeymen. Thanks. Okay, good question, Teresa. So we went ahead and looked up for it. As of 2019, the U.S. military expenditure amounted to 3.4% of U.S. GDP, placing the U.S. lower in ranking of military expenditure than Saudi Arabia, Israel, and Russia, but still on the overall dollar amount larger. So the percent-wise isn't necessarily the way that you should look at it. It's also in terms of the overall dollar figure.
And I have that overall dollar figure. So if you add up all of global spending on militaries around the world, the U.S. spends about 40% of that total. So if you put all of the other countries combined, it's about 60%. U.S. is 40%. I'm grabbing this from Wikipedia, by the way. Yes. According to Wikipedia, U.S. is number one at $778 billion a year. China's number two all the way down at $252 billion. So, which is still a lot of money, obviously.
You never know their numbers, but
sure. But there's obviously gigantic difference between U.S. and the rest of the world in terms of absolute military spending.
There we go.
All right, question number two. Do you think, since there is a GOP split all over the country, would it possibly help DNC candidates in 2022 win more seats than expected? So I don't know that there is that much of a GOP split to start with, I do think on the margins, there's a little bit of erosion. Mm-hmm. And even a little bit of erosion can make a big difference. So the question is, look, in midterms, it's always a question of who turns out. And I genuinely don't know the answer to that. It often is the times that the party in opposition, their people are more fired up because they don't like that the other party has total control. And so they're more motivated to come out. That's what you saw, in the early Obama years, certainly, and there are other factors at play there as well. On the other hand, I do think you see a little bit of erosion for Republicans, especially in some key swing states where Donald Trump is just wildly unpopular, and he's not there to drive his people to the polls anymore. So what are they really excited about or voting on? I genuinely don't know what the turnout dynamics are going to be and who's going to be more motivated, because there seems to be a fair amount of apathy on the Democratic side. It's like, we got the orange man out, we're back to brunch, we're kind of going to sleep, we're tuning out politics, and we'll see you again in 4 years.
It's going to be a very strange election. And it's like you said, there is no split in the Republican Party. Like almost all Republicans are with Trump. Like whatever you see in the media or whatever you hear from me or whatever on the show, that is not the norm whatsoever, and you should not think otherwise. That being said, I think the erosion does matter, especially on the margins, places like Georgia and more, where are the Georgia, suburban traditional Republicans, are they going to stick with Biden? Are they going to stick with Ossoff? Going to stick with Warnock, who seem to be pretty popular actually right now? I think so. And same in Arizona. At the same time, you just had a very large internal migration across the country. A lot of PMCs from liberal blue states moving to places like Arizona and Georgia and Texas and more. Texas is not necessarily going to change the map, but look, Georgia, Arizona only went by 10,000, 20,000 votes, so that matters a lot there. So on that front, I do absolutely think that the Democrats don't necessarily have as bad of a chance as they traditionally should statistically, but they're still probably on the back foot.
Yeah, indeed. All right, last question.
Last question. If you had to start the U.S. government over with 5 Dems and 5 Republicans, who would you pick? So, Krystal and I consulted on this.
Came up with a unifying
answer, which is that we would pick randomly, we would have a lottery of 5 people, working class people who were Democrats, 5 working class people who were Republicans. Preference would be that they never attended a 4-year college degree institution, and we would put those people in charge because I think they would do a better job.
Yeah, and I think every 2 years you could have a new lottery.
Correct.
Shuffle it up, and I guarantee you we would get
a better job.
Wildly better results.
Yes.
That's who is running our government right now. So there you go. That's what we'll do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. More Rising for you later today.